Hello, this is Robin Reynolds, and today I'm here to talk to you about why you don't need to be intimidated about doing creative work. I have heard so many times people say, I can't do art. It's scary, it's intimidating. I just can't do that. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about that today. When you feel fear or resistance or intimidation, any of these sort of negative emotions, really they are guideposts to our inner landscape, right? There's a reason that creativity feels a little scary. It's normal. It's because creativity is really very personal. When I create something, I am putting forth a teeny tiny piece of myself, my heart, my dreams, my soul, into the world. And the way our culture feels sometimes is that appearances are of utmost importance. It feels very judgmental and critical. I think social media is fantastic, and I love that you're here with me today. We can use it to learn and to connect and for positive things. But we all know that social media can also be a breeding ground for judgment, criticism, and those kinds of things. So it completely makes sense if you are just a little bit intimidated by creativity and by doing creative work. I'm here to tell you that there is a little risk in it. I'll admit that. I wish I could tell you that it's always easy and it's always fun, but I'm committed to being as honest as I can about my experience. And the truth is, there's just a little bit of risk associated with creative work. What are those risks? I don't know. Something like others won't like what we did. They won't like our creative work. Maybe people will criticize us or pass judgment on our work, or worse yet, just directly on us as a person. Or maybe you won't like your own creative work. Could happen. First of all, in my experience, and I've been doing this a long time now, although I was locked up in fear for a long time before I really took the dive. Really, that risk is seldom realized. Guarantee it, 100%. Most of the time, people in the world are kind and nice. Our fear and our anxiety is bigger than the reality of the risk, that I can tell you. Also, let's just talk about what if, in fact, someone doesn't like your work or you don't like your work. It doesn't turn out like you thought it might. It's not the end of the world. Those things that you're feeling or that you might feel if you do creative work, embarrassment, fear, anxiety, whatever they might be, they're just emotions. The biggest thing that I have learned about the creative process is that one of the whole points of it for me is that it helps you work through those emotions. So creativity itself can help you deal with some of these fears. Emotions really are in our body. They tell us what's going on. They're kind of like blinkers. They're signals for something, right? So a signal for fear, a signal that we're feeling a little resistant. But emotions are meant as a sort of short-term signal. They're not meant for us to hold on to and keep around for long, long periods of time. They should pass and process through our body and our physiology. But a lot of times we keep them locked in and then they just rattle around in our brain. And for me, the more they rattle around up there, the bigger they get and the more weight they have. And so I would say when you have fear, there's a reason for it. Think about it. Is this something that is inherently dangerous to me? Do I need to be more careful? And if the answer is yes, then by all means, do that. You're responsible for good care of yourself, physically, emotionally, all of that. But if in fact that fear is being a little bit inflated in your mind, or that resistance you're feeling is the resistance that we often feel before we do something new, then challenge yourself. Can you push past that barrier and see what it feels like? For me, the more that I push past that barrier, the easier it gets. And actually what I have found in my life is that it was a false barrier that I set up for myself. If you find that you have a whole lot of intimidation or fear around the act of creation, of bringing something new into the world, chances are you have assimilated or uptaken someone else's expectations of the world, of the people that you grew up with, of an old art teacher in 4th grade, whatever. The point is, creativity and art is ours to own. We get to make up the rules for our own practice. We can decide what the process is like. We can decide what the product should be like, or if we even care about a product, right? This is ours, our own safe space, our own island of sanctuary, calm, peace, and confidence. I would love us all to feel this beautiful sense of confidence that the more that we create, little by little, the more we get to know ourselves. This is something that you have to work at. And so for me, the creative process is one of the channels that I use to achieve that. I would encourage you, challenge yourself to make your own rules. If you find that you're really locked up and you've got a lot of fear or intimidation, write all those things down on a piece of paper. What are the worst things that you think could happen? What are you actually worried about? In some cases, you'll find it hard to articulate because it's sort of a nebulous, unnamed fear. If you do find concrete things to write down, acknowledge them, write them down, and then crumple that paper up and throw it away. Basically, commit to yourself that you're starting new. You won't start from preconceived notions about creativity, and you will create those rules yourself, or you will have no rules at all. I like that idea too. So bottom line today is I want to encourage you and remind you that you do not need to be intimidated by art or creativity. The type of creativity that I teach and that I advocate for is beautiful, open-ended. The sky is the limit, and there are no expectations for that until you define them yourself. It's a beautiful day here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm heading to the studio, which I think today might mean out under a tree in my backyard. I hope that you can also find a creative space to work in today, and that if you are at all intimidated by creativity, you can push past that. Let me know if you need help. I am here and I would love to hear from you. You can head over to my website. My email is there, my contact information. And if you need some help just beginning to create, there's a free resource there. My website is robin-reynolds.com. And I am wishing you a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye-bye.